295 children died. Not because of war, not because of disease, because of a decision that cost $300. She burned alive in her car. And the worst part, this was not an accident. The manufacturer knew it would happen. They ran the numbers and decided that her life was worth less than $11. In the archive, 5 such decisions, 5 moments when someone opened a spreadsheet and chose money. I call it the prevention index. From 45 to 97. The last file is the hardest. A school. $300, 295 dead. But first, 4 other prices. Hyatt Regency Hotel, Kansas City, Missouri, July 17th, 1981. Prevention Index, 45. A Friday evening, 2,000 people filled the atrium of the Hyatt Regency Hotel for a tea dance. An orchestra played. People stood on the elevated walkways that crossed the 4-story atrium, concrete and glass platforms suspended from the ceiling, stretching 37 meters across. It was one of the most beautiful hotel lobbies in America. It had been open for exactly 1 year. During construction, the steel fabrication contractor ran into a problem. The original design called for 6 continuous steel rods, running from the ceiling all the way down through both the 4th floor and 2nd floor walkways. Threading rods of that length was difficult and expensive. The contractor proposed a simpler solution: split the rods, use 2 shorter sets instead of 1 long set. The engineering firm signed off on the change. Nobody calculated what this modification actually did to the load distribution. Here is what it did. In the original design, the ceiling carried the weight of both walkways independently. In the modified design, the 4th floor walkway carried the weight of the 2nd floor walkway hanging below it. The connection point at the 4th floor was now supporting double the load it was designed for. The National Bureau of Standards later concluded that the walkways would have failed under 1/3 of the weight they held that night. They had been failing slowly for an entire year. At 7:05 p.m., the connection gave way. The 4th floor walkway fell onto the 2nd floor walkway. Both crashed to the atrium floor. 114 people died. 216 were injured. It remains the deadliest non-deliberate structural collapse in United States history. The lead investigator summarized the corporate culture surrounding the entire project as everyone wanting to walk away from responsibility. The engineering firm lost its licenses in 4 states. Every defendant, the architects, the engineers, the contractor, the hotel owner, denied all legal liability. Nobody went to prison. The original design was already a violation of Kansas City building codes. The modification made it worse. The change was made to simplify construction, to save time, to save money. Nobody checked the math. 1 calculation. Never performed. 114 people. Kansas City. 1 unchecked calculation. 114 dead. In the next file, nobody did the math at all. The last inspection was in 1985. The explosion happened in 2013. 28 years. Nobody checked. File 2. West Fertilizer Company, West Texas, April 17th, 2013. Prevention Index, 62. Population, 2,800. A small farming community 18 miles north of Waco. The West Fertilizer Company had been serving local farmers since 1962. 9 employees. A seed and fertilizer storage building, and, as of April 2013, approximately 270 tons of ammonium nitrate stored on the property. 270 tons. The legal threshold requiring federal reporting and oversight, 400 pounds. The company had never reported it. The Occupational Safety and Health Administration last inspected the West Fertilizer plant in 1985. The Environmental Protection Agency fined the company in 2006 for not having a risk management plan. The company filed a new plan in 2011. That plan did not mention that ammonium nitrate was stored at the facility. At the time of the explosion, at least 33 other sites in Texas were storing large quantities of fertilizer-grade ammonium nitrate near homes, schools, hospitals, and nursing homes. The West plant was next to a nursing home and a middle school. On the evening of April 17, 2013, a fire broke out in the storage building. Local volunteer firefighters responded. They had no information about what was stored inside. No hazard documentation, no emergency plan. 20 minutes after the fire was first reported, the building exploded. The force was equivalent to 7.5 to 10 tons of TNT. It registered as a 2.1 magnitude earthquake. It was felt 80 miles away. It left a crater 93 feet wide and 12 feet deep, where the fertilizer plant had been. It destroyed 2 schools, a nursing home, an apartment complex. More than 500 buildings were damaged or destroyed. 15 people died. 12 of them were firefighters, men who had responded to a fire without knowing they were walking toward 270 tons of explosive material. Over 260 were injured. Dustin Mattis had been working at his family welding shop that afternoon. His father, Jimmy, had left early to help fight the fire. Dustin and his wife watched from their back porch. His wife went inside to upload the photos she had been taking. The explosion happened while she was inside. The company stored 67 times the legal reporting threshold for ammonium nitrate. The last federal inspection was 28 years before the explosion. The emergency plan filed 2 years earlier did not mention the ammonium nitrate. The firefighters who died had no information that could have saved them. Texas law at the time of the explosion allowed fertilizer storage facilities to operate without liability insurance, even when storing hazardous materials. The fine issued after the explosion: $118,000 for 15 deaths. West Texas, 28 years without an inspection, 15 dead. In the next file, the calculation was performed. It was checked, it was correct, and the company filed it away and did nothing. File 3, Ford Pinto, United States, 1971 to 1978. Prevention Index 74 in 1973. 2 Ford employees sat down and did their math. Their names were Ernest Grush and Carol Sawnby. They were not engineers. They worked in Ford's Environmental and Safety Engineering Division. Their job that day was to prepare a cost-benefit analysis for submission to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. The subject: whether Ford should install an $11 safety valve on its fuel systems. The Ford Pinto had a problem. Its fuel tank was positioned 5 inches forward of the rear sheet metal and 3 inches behind the rear axle housing. In a rear-end collision at 20 miles per hour or higher, the tank was likely to rupture. The doors could jam. The car could catch fire. Ford knew this. Before the Pinto went on sale, crash tests had confirmed it. The fix, a plastic bladder inside the tank, or a different tank position, cost approximately $11 per vehicle. Ford's product development chief, Lee Iacocca, had a rule. The car had to weigh under 2,000 pounds and cost under $2,000. Any design change that threatened the schedule or the budget was discouraged. The Pinto went into production in 25 months, half the industry standard. The fuel tank design was frozen. before the safety tests were complete. The Grush-Sonby report ran the numbers. It estimated 180 burn deaths per year that the safety valve could prevent. It assigned a value to each life, $200,000, based on NHTSA's own figures. It calculated the total benefit of installing the valve across all 12.5 million cars and light trucks on American roads, $49.5 million. The cost of installing the valve, $137 million. Conclusion: the modification was not cost-effective. The memo was filed. The Pinto went on sale, unchanged. Over the next 8 years, there were at least 27 confirmed deaths in rear-end Pinto fires. Hundreds more were injured, many with severe burns covering most of their bodies. In 1977, Mother Jones magazine obtained a copy of the memo. The story ran under the headline, "Pinto Madness." The public learned that Ford had assigned a price to a human life, $200,000. In 1978, under federal pressure, Ford recalled 1.5 million Pintos. The fix cost $11 per car. Total recall cost $16.5 million. Less than a third of what Ford's own memo said it would cost, because the memo had been calculating for the entire industry, not just Ford. The $11 fix had been affordable the entire time. The memo did not cause the Pinto disaster. The decision to freeze the fuel tank design before safety testing was complete. That caused the disaster. The memo simply documented, in the coldest possible terms, that Ford had considered fixing it and decided the math didn't work. The math was wrong. The people who ran it were not engineers, and the price they put on a human life was the number the government gave them, $200,000. In 1973, Ford put a price on a human life and decided it wasn't worth the fix. In the next file, the company knew. Not for 8 years, for decades. They had internal memos, safety audits, warnings from their own engineers. They saved $1.25 million in 1983 by ignoring all of them. 3 years later, the worst industrial disaster in history. File 4. Union Carbide, Bhopal, India. December 3rd, 1984. Prevention Index, 86. In 1982, a team of American engineers from Union Carbide's headquarters conducted a safety audit of the company's pesticide plant in Bhopal, India. They found 61 hazards. 30 were classified as critical. 11 were located in the unit that stored methyl isocyanate, one of the most reactive and toxic industrial chemicals in existence. Their report warned of the danger of a major toxic release. Union Carbide received the report, read it, and then implemented a cost-cutting program. In 1983, the company's Bhopal task force, an executive team from headquarters in Danbury, Connecticut, reduced the workforce at the plant by 335 employees. Total savings that year, $1.25 million. The crew operating the MIC unit was cut from 12 workers to 6. The maintenance crew from 6 to 2. Safety training for operators from 6 months to 15 days. In the control room, one operator was now expected to monitor over 70 panels, indicators, and controllers, many of which were already malfunctioning. The plant had 6 safety systems designed to contain a toxic release. By late 1984, all 6 were either disabled or non-operational. The refrigeration unit that kept MIC tanks at 0 degrees Celsius switched off. The vent gas scrubber designed to neutralize escaping gas, not in operational mode. The flare tower, out of service for maintenance. The water spray system Insufficient pressure to reach the point of release. The alarm system delayed so that workers would not be disturbed by false alarms. The emergency siren, operators hesitated to sound it. A private memo from Union Carbide's regional headquarters, written after the 1983 cuts, noted that the company had saved the $1.25 million, but added that future savings would not be so easy. There was nothing left to cut. On the night of December 2nd, 1984, the night shift operator did not know that pressure in MIC storage tank 610 had been rising for 30 minutes. The pressure gauge was known to be unreliable. Water entered the tank. A runaway reaction began. At midnight, 45 tons of methyl isocyanate gas escaped from the plant. It formed a cloud that drifted over the densely populated neighborhoods surrounding the facility. Neighborhoods where 500,000 people lived, most of whom were asleep. There were no gas masks distributed to the public. No emergency plan had been communicated to the surrounding community. The hospitals did not know which gas had been released or what the medical treatment was. People woke to burning eyes, choking lungs, and darkness. They ran. Many ran in the wrong direction, into the path of the gas. Batibai Rajak was 4 years old. She remembers people running, her eyes burning. Her uncle worked at the plant. He had warned the family what to do if a leak ever happened. Cover yourselves with wet blankets. Her father made sure all 3 siblings were covered. The night passed. In the morning, when they went outside, there were bodies on the streets. The immediate death toll, at least 3,800. Estimates of total deaths over subsequent years: 15,000 to 20,000. 500,000 survivors suffered respiratory problems, blindness, or permanent disability. In 1989, Union Carbide settled with the Indian government for $470 million. Each surviving victim received approximately $500. When the settlement was announced, Union Carbide's stock rose $2 per share. 70% of plant employees were fined before the disaster for refusing to deviate from proper safety regulations under management pressure. One employee was fired for going on a 15-day hunger strike in protest of the cuts. The people closest to the danger knew exactly what was happening. They were ignored. They were punished for trying to stop it. Bhopal, $1.25 million saved, 15,000 lives lost. The final file in this archive is different from everything that came before it. The previous 4 disasters happened in factories, in hotels, on highways. The last one happened in a school, and the decision that caused it was made to save $300 a month. File 5. Prevention Index, 97. New London School, New London, Texas, March 18, 1937. Prevention Index, 97. In the middle of the Great Depression, this was one of the wealthiest rural school districts in the United States. The 1930 discovery of oil in Rusk County had transformed the local economy. 15 oil wells stood on school district property. The taxable value of the district, $20 million. The school itself was a source of civic pride, built in 1932 for $1 million. Steel-framed, E-shaped, 2 stories, a chemistry lab, an auditorium with a balcony, a lighted football field. It was everything a community could build for its children. In January 1937, the school board made a decision. The natural gas bill from United Gas Company averaged $300 per month. Nearby, the Parade Gasoline Company ran a residue gas line, a byproduct pipeline from the oil fields. The gas was considered waste. The oil companies flared it off. Several homes, schools, and churches in the area had tapped into similar lines for free heating. The school board authorized plumbers to tap the residue line. Savings: $300 a month. Residue gas, also called wet gas or raw gas, is chemically unstable. It varies in composition from day to day, even hour to hour. And unlike the commercial gas supplied by United Gas Company, it has no smell. In early 1937, students began complaining of headaches. Some reported watering eyes. No investigation was conducted. No one connected the symptoms to the gas line. Beneath the main school building ran a concrete crawl space, 253 feet long, 56 feet wide. Gas had been leaking from a faulty connection in the residue line and accumulating in this enclosed space for weeks. An estimated 64,000 cubic feet of gas. Invisible. Odorless. Waiting. March 18th, 1937. A warm spring Thursday. The following day's classes had been cancelled for the interscholastic meet, a regional academic and athletic competition. The atmosphere was festive. Parents were gathering in the gymnasium for a PTA meeting. Approximately 500 students and 40 teachers were in the main building. 13 minutes before the final bell. At 3:17 p.m., Lemmy R. Butler, the manual training instructor, turned on an electric sander in the workshop. The switch created a spark. Witnesses described the walls of the building bulging outward, the roof lifting from its supports and then crashing back down. The concrete floor of the main story exploded upward through the classrooms. The side walls collapsed into the basement. A 2-ton concrete slab was hurled 200 feet across the grounds, where it landed on a parked car. The explosion was heard 4 miles away. Parents from the PTA meeting ran from the gymnasium. Roughnecks from the nearby oil fields abandoned their equipment and drove to the school. They worked through the night, through a spring thunderstorm, removing an estimated 2,000 tons of rubble with their hands. 2,000 tons. Looking for children. 295 students and teachers were killed. As of today, it remains the deadliest school disaster in American history. Among the wreckage, rescue workers found a blackboard, still intact, still bearing the lesson written by a teacher that morning. Oil and natural gas are East Texas' greatest mineral blessings. Without them, this school would not be here, and none of us would be here learning our lessons. Within weeks of the explosion, the Texas legislature passed a law requiring that a malodorant be added to all natural gas used for commercial and industrial purposes. Other states followed. Countries followed. The rotten egg smell you detect when there is a gas leak in your home today exists because of what happened in New London, Texas in 1937. The Prevention Index scores New London at 97. Not because anyone knew the gas was accumulating. Not because anyone knew a faulty connection existed. The gas was odorless. The leak was invisible. The school board had no way to know what was happening beneath their building. It scores 97 because the decision that caused all of it, the tap into the residue line, the elimination of commercial gas, the $300 monthly saving, was made by people sitting in a room who knew they were saving money on heating a school. They did not know the gas was odorless. They did not know the connection was faulty, but they made the choice to use the cheapest option available. And nobody, not the school board, not the oil companies, not the state, had required that the gas be odorized. That law did not exist yet. It exists now, because of 295 children and teachers. 5 files: the bolt, the memo, the inspection, the savings, the bill. 5 different industries, 5 different decades. 1 decision: the real cost is always paid later, by those who had no part in making it. After every disaster, something changed. After the last one, the rules were updated. Partially. Some were rolled back. The archive is always open. because the pattern never closes.